I'm honestly prepared to step into the next phase of my life and take on a completely different challenge. But the main reason I chose that particular moment to make the announcement was because I needed a genuine sense of closure. Welcome back everyone to another edition of the Clark Update. If Caitlin Clark and the latest developments across the WNBA are what you came for, then you have landed in exactly the right place. We have another major story today that is already creating a huge amount of discussion among basketball fans. Stay with us through the final moment, because the full picture becomes even more interesting as the story develops. Let's waste no time and jump directly into today's report. Women's basketball has been thrown into a frenzy after Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexie Hull reportedly delivered a massive revelation that caught supporters completely off guard. The three players appeared to take a bold step that almost nobody saw coming, potentially reshaping the direction of the league, energizing the fan base, and stunning people who closely follow what happens behind the scenes. From possible career-altering decisions to powerful expressions of unity, this feels much larger than an ordinary headline. It could represent a genuine turning point. So what exactly did they reveal? And why has the basketball world reacted so strongly? The implications may be far greater than most people initially realized, so remain with us as we break down a possible WNBA game-changer. On July 8, 2025, three of the most discussed players connected to the league appeared to form an unexpected alliance that immediately sent shockwaves through women's basketball. Before we continue, support the channel by liking the video and subscribing. More than 90% of the people watching still have not joined the channel, even though subscribing is free, takes only a moment, and helps us continue producing this coverage. Have you subscribed yet? Excellent, and thank you for being part of the community. Now let's return to the story. Caitlin Clark, the celebrated 2024 top draft selection, whose arrival reignited national interest in women's basketball, was joined by Indiana Fever teammate Lexie Hull and experienced guard Sophie Cunningham, who previously built her reputation with the Phoenix Mercury before arriving in Indiana. This was reportedly not a casual gathering or an ordinary conversation between teammates. Based on what was seen around the Fever's training facility, people familiar with the situation described the moment as a coordinated statement, one that quickly sparked urgent conversations inside locker rooms, front offices, and league circles. Although the three players entered professional basketball through different paths and occupied different stages of their careers, something more meaningful than personal ambition appears to have brought them together. Their united presence suggests that a broader effort could be developing, one designed to challenge the underlying structure of women's professional basketball. The timing could hardly be more important. The WNBA is experiencing extraordinary momentum through larger television audiences, expanding sponsorship agreements, stronger merchandise demand, and increasing international attention. Yet behind the growth and celebration, players have continued raising concerns about salaries, career security, travel, working conditions, and the financial realities of remaining in the sport. Clark contributes unmatched visibility, enormous commercial influence, and a wave of enthusiastic new supporters. Cunningham brings toughness, experience, credibility, and the perspective of a veteran who has witnessed the league's struggles firsthand. Hull, while still building her professional career, represents the generation expected to carry the league forward. Combined, those three perspectives could become something extremely powerful. Their effort may involve demands for improved player protections, stronger compensation structures, safer and more professional working environments, or even a new athlete-led program intended to support players from the moment they are drafted until their careers are over. Whatever the precise goal may be, the basketball world is paying attention because the timing does not appear accidental. This alliance stands out because it crosses age groups, career stages, and traditional competitive boundaries, showing a level of solidarity that could influence how league decisions are made. Their actions appear to be calling for a fundamental change in the way the WNBA values its athletes, not only as marketing tools, but as professionals worthy of long-term investment, fairness, opportunity, and security. The meeting comes while discussions surrounding collective bargaining, media rights, expansion, and the league's financial future are becoming increasingly intense. If Clark, Cunningham, and Hull are choosing this moment to act, they may believe their shared influence can finally produce changes that improve conditions for everyone who has played, everyone currently competing, and everyone who will enter the league later. The growing role of players as activists, business partners, cultural figures, and potential policy influencers gives the situation even greater urgency. Clark's ability to produce record television audiences, packed buildings, and unprecedented merchandise interest has attracted corporate investment and mainstream attention that the league struggled to secure for years. Cunningham's experience with overseas opportunities and the financial sacrifices required during WNBA off-seasons allows her to represent athletes who have long questioned whether professional basketball in America can provide a sustainable living. Hull, a Stanford graduate still early in her career, reflects a younger generation learning how difficult it can be to build an entire life around the sport. Together, they may be opening the door to an era in which popularity produces more than advertisements and endorsements. It could finally create structural improvements that protect the future of women's basketball. But what are these three players actually preparing to do? And could their plans permanently change the WNBA? Keep watching, because the answers may be more important than anyone expects. As anticipation surrounding the 2025 season continued to rise, star power began intersecting with a deeper purpose. The conversation was no longer limited to standings, box scores, or championship predictions. Away from the court, another kind of momentum appeared to be building quietly. A reported strategy session involving Clark, Cunningham, and Hull at Indiana's training complex on July 8 suggested something much more consequential than an ordinary team meeting or a last-second victory. Sources close to the league indicated that the trio could be preparing a bold initiative aimed at confronting the root causes of inequality within women's professional basketball. Compensation remains one of the central issues. Even the league's most influential athletes often earn only a small fraction of the value their performances generate. Despite growing television coverage and fan engagement, WNBA salaries remain heavily restricted by the league's financial structure and salary cap. Clark's arrival in 2024 dramatically changed the scale of the conversation. Her games drove historic merchandise demand, filled arenas around the country, and repeatedly pushed broadcasts beyond the 1 million viewer mark. In commercial terms, she quickly became one of the league's greatest revenue engines. Yet her salary remained constrained by the same system that limits the earnings of her teammates and opponents. Clark also possesses a social media audience and advertising reach comparable to athletes in far larger men's leagues, giving her a level of influence rarely seen in women's basketball. Pair that power with Cunningham's veteran leadership and Hull's increasing profile, and the result is a coalition capable of challenging systems that many believe no longer reflect the league's true value. People familiar with the effort suggest it may extend far beyond the personal interests of these three players. The objective could include better salaries, improved travel, stronger workplace protections, and league-wide standards benefiting everyone who wears a WNBA uniform, whether she is an established veteran or a rookie fighting to earn a roster spot. A successful effort could also establish a blueprint for other women's sports. The timing magnifies everything. The league is now more prepared for change than at almost any previous moment because revenue, ratings, attendance, and sponsorship investment are all moving upward. This collaboration could lead not only to financial reform, but also to a cultural shift in which players gain more influence over the organization, branding, direction, and commercial future of their sport. By connecting their public influence to strategic goals, Clark, Cunningham, and Hull are showing that athletic power is measured by more than points, assists, and victories. It can also be used to reshape the system inherited by the next generation. The question, then, is how this quiet effort could change the rules for every WNBA player. Pay close attention because the answer may affect everything. At the center of the movement is a deeper question surrounding Caitlin Clark. With nearly every action she takes attracting national attention, how will she use this rare degree of influence to push the sport forward for everyone? During her rookie year, she did not merely create memorable highlights. Her arrival altered the WNBA's business operations, media relevance, ticket market, and commercial possibilities. Now, however, insiders believe Clark may be moving beyond personal statistics, individual awards, and endorsement deals. Her reported discussions with Cunningham and Hull in Indiana appear to be laying the groundwork for something far more meaningful than individual success. Clark possesses a combination of on-court excellence and media reach that very few women's basketball players have ever enjoyed. She also seems to understand that extraordinary influence carries a responsibility to others. The problems being discussed are not new. Players have spent years dealing with limited salaries, exhausting travel demands, uncertain job security, and insufficient support for life after basketball. Clark's participation in a possible player-led initiative suggests she may view her success as an opening for broader progress rather than a finish line reserved for herself. Cunningham brings a different but equally important perspective. She has experienced nearly every side of professional life in the WNBA, including small paychecks, demanding schedules, physical punishment, roster uncertainty, and the pressure to spend off-seasons overseas in order to increase her income. She helped the league reach its current period of growth while competing under rules many players have described as outdated and while receiving far less attention than today's stars. Her history of speaking openly, combined with international playing experience and veteran knowledge, makes her a credible advocate for practical reforms rather than empty promises. Clark's momentum and Cunningham's experience create a rare combination. Add Hull, who represents the future of the league, and the partnership could provide exactly what the WNBA needs to convert unprecedented attention into lasting improvements. How did such an unexpected group become one of the league's strongest opportunities for long-term transformation? The answer lies in the bridge between generations. Cunningham's presence in this developing effort carries the weight of season after season spent navigating a system that frequently failed to compensate players in proportion to their talent and sacrifice. She is not simply an experienced athlete who eventually became part of the Indiana Fever. She belongs to the group of players who helped move the WNBA from a frequently overlooked competition into a league capable of dominating national sports conversations. Her partnership with Clark is both practical and symbolic. Together they represent the intersection of past sacrifice and future potential, showing what can happen when hard-earned veteran knowledge is joined with unprecedented modern influence. Analysts are already recognizing the possible significance of that alignment. Cunningham's willingness to work beside emerging figures such as Clark and Hull signals a generational connection inside a league that desperately needs unity. Progress does not require one generation to erase or replace another. It requires players from different eras to build something stronger together. Hull adds another important dimension. The Stanford standout and sixth selection in the 2022 WNBA draft is young enough to still be shaping the direction of her career, but experienced enough to recognize the weaknesses of the current system. At Stanford, she saw the benefits that organized resources, elite coaching, strong facilities, and institutional support can provide. Now, alongside Clark and Cunningham in Indiana, she brings the concerns of younger professionals directly into the conversation. Hull reflects the goals and anxieties of many players trying to create stable, lasting careers in a league still fighting for wider recognition and better resources. She is not merely a talented teammate. She symbolizes the possibility of change. Decisions about whether to pursue opportunities overseas, search for greater financial security elsewhere, or remain home and demand reform are decisions many younger WNBA players quietly face. Hull's participation in this emerging project suggests that those private concerns may finally be receiving a unified and influential platform. Could their next step expose the challenges countless players have been forced to manage silently? Continue watching as the picture becomes clearer. Different journeys have now produced one voice and a common commitment to durable reform. What makes this moment so unusual is not only the fame of the people involved, it is the alignment of athletes representing several stages of a professional career. Clark, Cunningham, and Hull are more than successful basketball players. Together, they represent superstar influence, veteran leadership, and the hopes of a younger generation. Their cooperation indicates that the issue being discussed behind closed doors may extend far beyond one individual, one franchise, or one season. It points toward a deliberate attempt to rethink the basic structure of women's professional basketball. Rather than concentrating only on their own contracts or opportunities, they appear focused on entrenched problems affecting players throughout the league: restricted salaries, short earning windows, limited roster security, and the continued expectation that athletes travel overseas to achieve financial stability. Clark's celebrity attracts cameras, media coverage, and fan attention. Cunningham's credibility comes from years of experience, while Hull offers the perspective of players expected to inherit whatever system is built next. Together they form a group that commands both attention and legitimacy. History across professional sports shows that meaningful progress often begins when athletes with different backgrounds recognize a shared interest and use their collective strength to demand more. From labor disputes in the NBA to the United States women's national soccer team's equal pay battle, solidarity has repeatedly provided the energy required for reform. With the WNBA now experiencing remarkable increases in television audiences, merchandise purchases, attendance, and media coverage, players may finally possess enough leverage to force a serious reconsideration of their value. Although collective bargaining agreements have added protections and improvements over time, frustration continues surrounding salary limitations, revenue distribution, career stability, and long-term support. The contrast becomes even more difficult to ignore when leagues in Europe and Asia offer contracts that can be more financially attractive than those available in the United States. That international imbalance increases pressure on WNBA decision-makers to modernize. Because the league's commercial value is rising so quickly, the opportunity for meaningful structural reform may be larger than it has ever been. How did international competitions manage to surpass the WNBA in certain areas of compensation? And what could happen next? Stay focused as we examine the consequences of timing and influence. Fans preparing for another season are naturally asking familiar questions. Can Indiana compete for a championship? Will the Fever finally become the team everyone else must chase? Which roster will emerge as the league's dominant force? But beneath debates about rivalries, rankings, and playoff expectations, something potentially more revolutionary is taking shape. The timing of the reported Clark, Cunningham, and Hull announcement matters enormously. It arrives while women's basketball is entering a period of major decisions involving expansion, long-term media agreements, labor negotiations, investment, and the overall future of the league. For the athletes, this is not simply another season. It is a rare opening. The spotlight has never been brighter, which means the opportunity for athlete-led advocacy has never been stronger. Other sports have shown how players can use visibility to pursue improved employment standards, fairer compensation, and a meaningful role in organizational decisions. What distinguishes the current era is that athletes can now control much more of their own message. Through social media, they can speak directly to millions of supporters, explain their experiences without waiting for traditional media approval, and shape public opinion in real time. Clark's online following rivals that of leading global sports figures, giving her the ability to introduce an issue to a massive audience instantly. Yet one famous voice alone rarely produces lasting institutional change. Real change comes from coordinated action and unity, which is why this partnership matters. Cunningham represents many of the battles players have already endured, while Hull represents those who will live under whatever rules are created next. Their involvement gives the effort multiple layers of credibility. As the WNBA expands rapidly through larger audiences, sold-out buildings, and renewed corporate interest, players now have the opportunity to influence far more than the outcome of games. They can help define the rules and standards that will govern women's professional basketball for decades. Decisions made during this period may affect athletes who have not yet entered college, high school, or even organized basketball. Amid all the noise, three voices could become impossible to ignore. Is the WNBA's future being rewritten in real time? Keep watching. By moving forward together, Clark, Cunningham, and Hull may have reached a pivotal moment for both basketball and women's sports more broadly. People now want to understand exactly what they hope to change and how ambitious their vision might be. Their collective influence is not merely impressive within the modern WNBA environment, it could be unmatched. Their collaboration in July 2025 arrives while the league is growing faster than at any previous point, yet still confronting structural issues that have remained unresolved for decades. The players appear to represent an effort capable of confronting complaints WNBA athletes have raised repeatedly, including low salaries, punishing travel demands, inadequate off-season resources, and limited career support. None of those issues began with Clark, Cunningham, or Hull, but the league has rarely had advocates with this much public visibility and combined credibility. During her second year with Indiana, Clark was already much more than an elite guard. She had become a major commercial and media force. Her ability to draw enormous crowds, push national broadcasts beyond 1 million viewers, increase merchandise sales, and attract new sponsors made her one of the most valuable players the league had ever seen. A message becomes considerably more difficult to disregard when someone with that kind of reach stands beside a respected veteran such as Cunningham and an emerging leader such as Hull. Their argument would not be limited to their own circumstances. It would apply to former players who helped establish the league, current players navigating its limitations, and future athletes who deserve the chance to build respectable and sustainable careers. The possibility that this effort could reach beyond the WNBA makes it even more compelling. A successful campaign might influence professional soccer, tennis, track and field, Olympic sports, and other areas where female athletes continue debating compensation, representation, resources, and long-term development. In that sense, Clark, Cunningham, and Hull would be speaking not only as basketball players, but as figures in a wider movement attempting to transform the professional future of women athletes. Major media companies, investors, and sponsors are watching carefully. Money is entering women's basketball at unprecedented levels through streaming packages, national broadcasts, branded content, sponsorship agreements, ticket demand, and sold-out arenas. The most important question, however, concerns how that money is distributed. Will the athletes responsible for generating the interest receive an equitable share of the value? Will increased visibility produce better facilities, more flexible contracts, improved medical care, stronger retirement support, and meaningful resources for players after their careers end? Clark has already demonstrated an exceptional ability to turn public attention into measurable commercial activity. Her enormous following and crossover appeal have introduced the WNBA to people who previously had little interest in watching the league. Her impact has revealed what can happen when women's sports receive serious, sustained promotion instead of occasional attention. That momentum possesses real financial value. The present challenge is converting temporary excitement into long-term, player-driven development. A united front combining Clark's celebrity, Cunningham's veteran authority, and Hull's developing leadership might be exactly what is required to move the conversation beyond praise and into policy. Visibility matters only when it produces meaningful improvement. What these athletes may have begun could transform popularity into genuine bargaining power. Could it permanently reshape the landscape of women's basketball? Remain here as we explore the deeper impact of a unified voice. As attention surrounding their reported partnership grows, it is becoming increasingly clear that their ambitions may extend well beyond basketball games. This is not simply a discussion about better hotel rooms, larger paychecks, or more comfortable travel. It concerns a complete redesign of what a professional career in women's basketball can become. Their low-key July 2025 revelation, arriving during a period of explosive league growth, has raised several serious questions. Which specific reforms are they pursuing? How far could their influence reach? Some of the answers may be found in issues that rarely dominate sports headlines, including educational programs, community investment, professional development, and preparation for careers after basketball. Those areas are essential to the long-term health of women's sports. While fans often focus on scoring totals, playoff races, and championship hopes, Players may be imagining a stronger system in which every athlete, not only the most famous names, can build a secure future through the game she loves. That could include upgraded practice facilities, comprehensive healthcare, mental and physical wellness resources, financial education, and organized transitions into life after retirement. International basketball adds another important layer. Many WNBA athletes spend their off-seasons competing abroad, where contracts may be larger and support systems can be more extensive. Experiencing different league models in Europe and Asia has expanded the conversation about what should be possible in the United States. Younger players who have seen those alternatives are becoming less willing to accept existing traditions simply because they have always existed. They want the system to evolve. The modern media environment also provides tools earlier generations did not possess. Players no longer need a formal press conference or approval from a television network to describe their experiences. They can speak directly to supporters, draw public attention to overlooked problems, organize collective support, and apply pressure to decision-makers through their own platforms. Still, genuine reform requires more than viral posts and supportive comments. It requires coordination with the players' union, legal guidance, financial analysis, careful negotiation, and a set of realistic objectives that can be incorporated into the league's operating structure. For the movement to succeed, emotional momentum must be combined with a detailed plan. Fans, broadcasters, sponsors, and league officials are all observing closely. The WNBA's commercial rise has produced new sources of income, but players are asking the most important question: is the growing money improving the league for everyone, or primarily benefiting organizations and a small group of highly marketable stars? The cooperation between Clark, Cunningham, and Hull points toward an effort focused on fairness, transparency, shared opportunity, and durable progress rather than individual ego. The range of perspectives inside the partnership is precisely what makes it powerful. Hull's emerging confidence, Cunningham's experience, and Clark's extraordinary prominence have aligned at a rare strategic moment. Working together, they may possess enough influence to challenge the existing structure and help construct something stronger, more sustainable, and more inclusive. So what is your view? Could the alliance between Clark, Cunningham, and Hull eventually produce significant reforms across the WNBA? Share your thoughts below, and do not forget to support the channel by subscribing, liking the video, and sending it to other basketball fans.